Hey guys, this is Disparity, displaying you some of the deadliest content on YouTube, and I wanted to talk about just that for a second. My name, Disparity. I changed it from Evolve Plasma. I know I've been hopping all over the place lately, and it's because the Evolve team didn't really work out. Some of the guys we picked up didn't play as often as we thought they did, and so we decided to change to names that were more akin to free agent names, and this is why I chose Disparity. I actually meant to choose Despair originally, you know, like the feeling of sadness, but they didn't have it with an E, so I tried it with a Y. And when I was doing this, I forgot the AI in Despair, and so I left the I out, and it became Disparity, which is also a word, and its meaning is that of great difference or great inequality, and so I thought it fit me really well because I play differently and I have a weird play style. So my duo now is Divinity, and the original plan was to have me be something opposite him. That's what, you know, divinity, disparity, you know, holiness and utter hopelessness, you know, they go kind of together. But enough about my name. I'll have my GFX artist kind of rewire everything shortly after he gets back from his holiday. He'll be on work tomorrow. So, sorry about not posting a video, but I did want to make sure everything went ahead and matched before I did that. So enough about my name. If you want more details, you can always hit me up on Xbox Live or, you know, in the comment section. Whenever, you can inbox me, even if it's that serious, Twitter, whatever. But this gameplay that you're going to see is a really, really unorthodox one. I play in a really weird manner, but I play smart. And that's one of the main topics of the video, but the hard-hitting, emphasized point that I'm going to be making today is about COD raging. And it's going to come into play here in a minute. I'll kind of explain everything as we go along. So, let's just start with the gameplay. This is a gameplay with me. Obviously, I have a chainsaw, and everyone else on the enemy team, except for maybe one person, has shotguns. And so it makes it quite difficult for me to be able to effectively neutralize them unless I'm at a distance like I am here. You can see I play very defensively. I use this hill a lot. I use these hills as kind of good sight lines, and I can kind of see them charge right at me. These guys are going to sacrifice speed, or excuse me, no, they're going to sacrifice safety for speed. So they're going to try and hopefully rush out there and maybe take the chance of getting killed as long as they can take 2 or 3 of us down with them. As you'll see right here, it's just target practice. I ride them down like grass, they don't even really get a chance. But that's for like the first minute and a half of the game. You know, I go 19-3, and then I start to, you know, kind of wet the bed a little bit. Something started happening. They started maybe figuring me out, or they started coordinating with their attacks, or maybe I just did awful because I go from like 19-3 to 38 and a death somewhere in the teens, which is semi-ridiculous in my opinion, considering that I mean I was doing great. I don't know what happened, and so I got really angry. I got pretty frustrated. I didn't rage out, but I was raging. I was spewing anger and frustration, and so I wanted to kind of talk about that. You know, you don't see a lot of these people in Call of Duty. You know, if they're getting absolutely destroyed, they just leave the game. I mean, maybe they'll, you know, give those kids a message or maybe some kind of parting yell as they go, but they just leave the game and they go on to the next one and no big thing. But people that spew really bad and they rage really bad, it's a result of built-up frustration that's accrued over the course of the game to end up leaving a result where one death that goes wrong or one death that shouldn't have happened ends up happening, and it's a result of frustration throughout the game. You know, a series of deaths, and then that one death just doesn't, and they just spew out. And so, to kind of clarify, what I mean is, you don't really rage when you're getting destroyed. You rage maybe when you're doing well, and something happens that interrupts that process. What you rage when something disrupts your flow. That's the #1 source. When your flow gets disrupted and the game doesn't go in your favor, that's when you visibly start raging. And what I mean by raging is not you know, rage quitting. Rage quitting and raging go together, but you can rage and not rage quit, and you can rage quit and not rage. For example, I can spew all I want, but if I don't leave the game, I technically didn't rage quit. I raged a lot, I got really angry, but I did not rage quit. And vice versa, if I just leave the game, I rage quit, but if I didn't say anything, I didn't rage. I just rage quit it. So there's a difference there. And you can kind of see it here. I'm already on my 4th death, which will become my 5th, my 6th, my 7th, my 8th, and so on, so on. So, while we're on the topic of fog, I figured I would go ahead and recommend that you play the map kind of like I did here. You can kind of see it's built for people to maneuver and stuff, but if you can kind of just control this main little hill, you know, the C and the A flag, the C and the B flags, you can just kind of rotate between the two, and you won't have a problem with it. So, the next thing that I wanted to talk about is how to prevent your rage, you know, or how to make sure that you can have a fun time. And that's to adapt to whoever you're trying to fight. Now, I obviously was doing this with the chainsaw, and I wanted to stick with it because it was working, and I figured I could pull out of it. But if they're using a shotgun, you know, maybe you could try and set up with your team somewhere, because the shotguns are only good up to a certain point. So if you can kind of set up with your team, and when they rush you, they can't really rush from anywhere, because then they'll get gunned down by you and or your team members. Unfortunately, I was playing with a bunch of randoms, and I didn't really talk to any of them, so we were just kind of relying on our own gun skill and intuition to win the fight, which can work sometimes. You know, 9 times out of 10, it might not work, but it didn't work here, or at least not for the whole game. We actually do end up losing, but I'm going to go ahead and get back to the raging. I'm getting a little off track here. I did not actually hear any of them on the mic, but you can, again, prevent your own rages by being intuitive and kind of tracking your enemy in the way that they're playing. So, for example, if they're all using shotguns, maybe you could try counter-rushing them. You know, if you think you're better with a shotgun, if you can just try and outmaneuver your enemy, if you can flank them when they're rushing your teammate, and hopefully kill them off. You know, if you don't like your teammates, I will say this: if your teammates are terrible, if they're no good, there is one use that every single teammate has, and I don't care how terrible they are, they do have this use. They are a body. They are on screen, they are a moving, shooting object, okay? At the very least, they are free meat. They're cannon fodder. You can, you know, if you're getting shotgunned like I am, you know, maybe you could sit back with an AR, watch everybody else go and rush, and hopefully if nobody flanks you and you see one of them come up, BAM! Shotgun, and he falls over, you can gun him down with 2 or 3 assault rifle rounds, that'll put him right out. I mean, no questions asked. So, that's just a way you could do it. Unfortunately, I couldn't really do it here. Nobody was rushing. I mean, you have these guys here, but when I say nobody was rushing, I meant that nobody was rushing flags, so I couldn't really predict where they were. I do a good job of kind of locking down the area, but again, you can see that I get flanked constantly, and it's hard when I have to watch this main area and watch the flanks at the same time. Somewhere along the lines, I know that there's somebody here, and I'm staring at him for like 6 years. I mean, we're just staring each other down, waiting to make a move, and then he must have called his teammate over or something. I think this is him right here. I'm just kind of staring at him, and you know, I can't really make a move because I'm running out of ammunition, as you can see, and I'm just kind of waiting him out. You know, we're just kind of waiting each other out, seeing what we're gonna do. He calls his friend over, I nail his friend down, and I knew as soon as somebody else arrived, as soon as he got support, he was gonna make a move, which is what happened. And this is the kind of predictions that can prevent your rages. If you can predict your enemy in this manner, like I did right there, then you will be fine. Your rage will not be anywhere near the rage that I experienced in this gameplay. And see, that something like that would have made me angry because I felt like I hit him enough times, and maybe I did. But yeah, definitely predicting your enemy is going to be a big help. And I know I already kind of touched on that, but guys, it is really important. And really, predicting your enemy from a competitive standpoint is everything. If you know exactly where your enemy is going to be in a competitive game, you've got it down. But the competitive players are much harder to predict, and it's a different kind of rule. It's a different kind of rule set, and it's a different breed of players. You know, these guys, they're not bad players, but they're accustomed to public match. A public match is running out there and being ferocious and taking no prisoners, and you don't care if you die 50 times as long as you kill 51 people, as long as you got a positive ratio and you do work and you're at the top of the leaderboard. But that also comes with a different side of raging. When you're not at the top of the leaderboard, when you're not dropping 50 kills, when you have 75 deaths, you know, those numbers are unrealistic, but you get my point. When you don't have that positive ratio, when the flow is not going your way in public match, that is when you rage, is when you get frustrated, is when, not when you're getting destroyed, because when you're getting destroyed, you just quit. But when you're doing well and you have hope and it gets cut down because you're frustrated, that is the biggest thing. That is the #1 source of Call of Duty rages. And I know I'm being redundant here, but I'm just trying to drive a point. It is the truth. I firmly believe that. And I also firmly believe that you can fix it as long as you can coordinate with your team and have the intuition to do what nobody else on your team can do, and adapt your strategy for the team and try and prevent some of that anger so that you can focus on the game. And while we're on the subject of raging is a bad thing. It distorts your focus. You know, you get worried about the last death you had, you can't focus on this one, you end up dead. You're raging about the last 2, you can't focus on the next one, you end up dead. The last 3, you end up dead. The last 5, you end up dead. Pretty soon you're dead 15 times and your ratio's gone to shit, and you can't do anything. I've been there, guys. I have. It's from a competitive standpoint, even, you know, when you get smacked, tossed around, it's a different world, and you get even more upset because you only have so many chances. You get 6 tries, and then you're out. You lose the entire thing. When it's on a record too, it's not like public match record. It's on your UMG record. That's not a good feeling to have. So, in conclusion, guys, just predict your enemy to prevent your rages. Hope this helps, guys. Subscribe. See you next time.